Welcome back subscribers and hello YouTube viewers. On this occasion we're up in the high country and we're looking at a fortress called Knin. I hope I pronounced that right. It's K-N-I-N. It's either Nin or Knin. So I'll have a look around. Spectacular views once I turn this camera around. It should be quite an experience, this one. So we're in the township called Knin, and we'll be looking at the fortress and we'll be looking at the railway station. So that'll be the two things we look at. It's a relatively big town, so there's a little bit too much to get it all on video. So we'll get what I think is sort of popular with some of the subscribers and definitely something I like looking at. So there's the view from this fortress. We're pretty high, not very high, but high enough. And as I pan around, you'll see the fortress, and this is the main gate, I believe, for one to enter. Okay, there's your drawbridge, a mini moat, and wow, this looks terrific. Check out the doors. It's all made out of wood with what appears to be, it's some sort of metal. So there are some Romanesque bits and pieces to be found, or is it Venetian? It'll be one of the two. It seems to be the norm for this sort of area that I'm in at the moment. I do like the actual stones for the walkway, so that's pretty cool. So it looks like you've got to buy a ticket to wander around. So let's have a look and see what they've got on offer. So whatever that's there for, that looks like something you do for torture. But that'll be the last thing we look at. So I've been directed to go this way. So right here is St. Barbara's Church. We can stick our nose in here. Wow. And do these places echo? Wow. Okay. So there's your church that every fortress needs before they send their soldiers out to fight or defend. This must be the gatekeeper's house, I'm guessing. Now, it did cost €6 to enter, which is not too bad, I guess. It's a lot of walking. Now it makes sense why a lot of the population is quite thin. There's so much walking to do, which is good, I guess. That's not a negative thing. A lot of hills to climb, and a lot of places you really can't bring a car, and a motorbike or an electric bicycle or just a regular bicycle is really ideal. So these are the water tanks, those two things here. Again, I'll show you the actual view. Now I do know, because I've looked this up, that's the station we're going to stick our nose at. I'm very curious to see what those yellow carriages are all about. And that blue building has got something to do with solar power. Either they make them there or they're experimenting with them or something, but it comes up as a solar power icon for that building in blue. But as you can see, it's just fantastic. What a view. So there's the go. That's the best way to go. Come on your motorbike, bring it right up to the entrance, no fear, and a lot easier. So this is just behind us here. We've got to climb all the way up there, which we can do. We'll just take our time. It's not a race, and I'll let you know if the average schmo at poor fitness peak. My fitness is terrible, so if I can make it, most people can. So the first thing we'll check out is the barracks, It's a museum gallery. The building was built in the 3rd decade of the 19th century for the accommodation of Austrian army. In the first half of the 20th century, it served as an exhibition space for the museum and Roman monuments. Okay, let's check it out then. So it does appear that the building is old, obviously, but the art is modern. And is everything for sale? Well, I would have thought so, but maybe not. So if you make it to the fortress, there is a restaurant I saw right near the entrance as well, which we will look at and maybe get a meal from. I like these things. I don't know what you call that. Is that abstract art, where it's just a lump of something? And also the wooden carvings. I guess everyone's got their own tastes. Nice building though. Very, very cool. And let's soldier on. So this is directly opposite the gallery, or where the soldiers, the Austrian soldiers were kept. And here we have where the cannons would shoot through. Okay, let's see what their biggest fear was. What direction? Okay, so you got that angle. I'm not sure how far these cannons could shoot those cannonballs, but it must be for some distance. Oh yeah, down to the town. So there's 1, 2, 3 spots up here where they had those cannons from the 18th century, is what they're saying. So that's quite interesting. And we continue on. And you've got all these slits here that would have aimed directly down to where I parked my car and the entrance. There is a walkway that comes from the town all the way up here. So obviously all these slots here would be manned by a soldier with either a bow and arrow or a musket or whatever weapons they had at the time. So every slot is actually pointed at a particular angle. So this is called St. Barbara's Outpost. Well, there you go. And what's this down here? Should we go down? Yeah, sure, why not? I'll catch my breath when I get back and do a U-turn. So we're going down this small little slit, and this is probably another. Okay, so you've got 2 tiers here to defend your fort or castle. And we'll go back up to where we came from. Okay, so we'll soldier on and go through that gap there. So this must be the town that they were defending up here, where the villagers would hang out. Oh wow, okay. So this is the warehouse and bakery barracks, is what the sign says. The building was built in the early 18th century and served as a food warehouse and bakery. I guess if they're in a siege where they can't go down, they'd have plenty of stores here to hopefully outlast whoever's keeping them up here. So it was converted into barracks in the early 19th century. The building was renovated in 2015. Very good. Okay. Okay, so this is about how Croatia came about after the civil war they had. Some of the photos are quite gruesome, so we will not look at them. But you can just imagine how the civilian population, they always will suffer during the wars because they're the soft targets, and even though they claim during any conflict or war that they don't target civilians, I believe is absolutely nonsense. Okay, and we move on. So just there to the right is some more areas for those cannons to shoot off. And we have something up here. Okay, so this is where they held the gunpowder, the new gunpowder magazine, early 19th century. Okay, so this was most definitely kept segregated from where anyone was living or where the soldiers had their barracks. So we'll do a little walk around. So it's double walled, so if anything was to happen, it would be contained in this area. Much cooler between the walls here, definitely. Very cool, which is great. I guess it's probably designed that way as well. The last thing you want is anything to go off before you want it to go off. So that's just a quick lap around this building. We'll see if we can go in. We're not sure if we are or not allowed. Okay, oh well, this sort of looks like a souvenir shop to me, which is terrific. There's the foundation, which is lovely. Med, I know med means honey, and I think nearly every town makes honey, so they must have a good collection of bees, which is terrific. Now we saw that at the entry, and you can buy these. Okay. And there's wine, obviously, from the region, which is terrific. Very good. And we'll go out and continue on. Now, I don't know if you can hear in the background, but the bells are going. So if I check my watch, it is midday. We'll hear out these bells. So there's a sign that directs us to Knin Castle and Fortress. So the castle would be where? It suggests to me that's where the King and Queen or the nobles lived. And we've got another area here for the cannons. I would say it was that church right there in the middle. Whoops. I don't know if I've captured it correctly, but the more modern looking one that's in the middle of your screen now. Okay, so we've still got a fair bit of climbing to do, so we better keep climbing. We'll just take our time, not a problem. So we'll keep climbing up. Whew, it's a bit of an effort, but we'll get there. More little places where they would take aim, the soldiers would, and I'm not sure. I think there is, I remember reading when I was at school that they'd pour like oil down that's inflamed, so any soldiers that were trying to force their way in would cop that. Excrement was tipped over the walls, and I think it was vice versa. I think then they would fling up their unwanted stuff to cause havoc and disease or whatever it is. I'm not sure if that happened in Croatia. I remember reading it in the UK, but I'm sure the logic of war was the same. So here's another map showing you where we all are, and basically I'm somewhere going through here at the moment in the yellow part. So we'll soldier on and continue our little journey. Still a fair bit to go up. So here's another, it seems like a corner tower bit. I'm trying to look for damage on the actual building or the wall itself. There doesn't appear to be much. So here we go, the lower cannon platform. So now we're actually inside. There's another way that way. We'll go this way. So is this another cannon placement? No idea. It's a lot of fun. It's really well presented. So if you're coming out this way, definitely have a look at this fortress and castle. The ladies that worked here were fantastic. Very accommodating. They know English, so there's no issue with the language barriers. Okay, so this is the corner bit. Oh yeah, so there's more placements for cannons and whatnot through here. Oh yeah, and there's a walk-through tunnel. So then you have someone bringing the cannonballs to the guys shooting off. This is pretty good. Now there's audio that comes with coming through here. Makes it a little bit more spooky. I think it would scare a fair few kids and adults. Not so much me. Okay, so this is some sort of exit point. That's where they probably got their water from. I don't know if you can see that down there, the river. Wow, that noise is, it's not scary, but it can be quite eerie. Very good, okay. So here we are. So we've got another sign here. Once again, if I show you a sign, just press pause if you would like to read it all. What's this? The relief depict the origin and endurance of the fortress of Knin. They began by portraying a natural environment and then reveal the... Okay, so they've taken advantage. I think that's pretty much normal. They've used the environment and whatever, I guess, land is available to build all the structure to the best of their advantage. So, okay, so we've got... I've got to read this one, this is important, this one. Caution, steep steps. And yes, they are. This is a lot steeper than any normal stairs you'd expect. Once again, another view to shoot the cannon balls through. If they're crossing the bridge, you've got an easy shot at it. So let's make our way up. And I can only imagine it's a great view. And this must be just a natural hill that forces them to build upwards. Middle cannon platform. So there's a lot of platforms to put whatever artillery you have or soldiers to protect the fortress and the castle. Okay, very good. So all this, there's a lot of little passages, and that just leads one to the other. So I'm assuming that have like runners that bring all the gunpowder and the cannonballs to those locations. Once again, right around the perimeter, there's more positions for, I can't think of another word other than muskets, if that's what they had, or some sort of weapon that they shot from, or alternatively spears with the crossbows and things. Let's see what this view is. So there's quite a number of levels to puff one out and also to defend this location. Let's see what's on this one. This shoots out to the forest. So there's the other two levels that we just came from. And are we at the highest point? Yes, we are. So this is the highest point of the fortress slash castle. So it's all downhill from now. Now, fitness level to climb around here, you'll be able to do it. Most people will be able to do it. Just take your time. Some of the stairs, that last one I just went up, that is quite steep. So if you're a little bit ginger with the your balance, maybe not go, just go back the same way I came. You can probably hear me breathing, I'm out of breath. That's a well, or a water tank they're calling it, in the middle there of the screen. So that's terrific. Now this thing, not sure what this is. I think that's another set of barracks according to my map, that green door. But yeah, this is terrific. Now there's no rails here, so if you are a bit unsteady, give it a miss coming all the way up. If you've got kids that are a little bit uncoordinated or want to goof around too much, I'd have a little chat to them and sort of say, hey, if you fall, you fall. So there is a disclaimer at the start saying that you're entering pretty much at your own risk, and common sense applies just as much as parental supervision is required. So you can't blame anyone other than your parenting skills in case your children get hurt. Now, as you can see, every little gap in the wall there is a post for a soldier, I'm assuming, or a lookout. There's some mention here about the weapons that were used. So that's terrific. Okay, so we've made it now to the guardhouse and the officers' pavilion, 18th and 19th century. Looks like a bit of renovation's been done, like the openings. Maybe they're a little bit insecure. They've also got some stuff here to stop the wall from tipping over. So they are doing maintenance to it, just to keep it propped up, which is understandable, considering we're talking 2, 3, maybe even up to 400 years old. Castle's commanders, mason and artillery barracks. Okay, so he gets his own room. Very good. It's like a bit of an open courtyard here. Maybe this is where they assemble and assigned their duties. This is the gunpowder magazine of the 19th century. Once again, this will be pretty thick, yeah. Look how thick the walls are. Yeesh, anything goes off in here, I think it's going to be okay. It's not going to take out the whole building. So we go through this little passage or hallway. So this is what, the counter battery against the Call It Castle. Okay, fair enough. So does that mean, what does that mean? So if someone takes over where the flag is, they can still fight from this end to get them out of there. Not sure. So we're going to make our way over to the flag now, and then we've done the fortress, and it is huge. So the commander's thing was through those doors to the left, and then to the right are the officers, and then the other buildings that we saw were for the soldiers. Okay, fair enough. And you can see they had heavy duty doors to prevent people coming up here. So there's a lot of ways of stopping any siege that they'll had to encounter. So I'm not sure if that actually did occur. So here we are making our way to the other, sort of like a saddle of buildings or castles from one to the other side. So it does appear that I was correct. So call it castles to the left. St. Cecilia outpost. Let's go check that out. That's on the other side. Maybe I've come the wrong way. This place I think will look absolutely fantastic because there's spotlights in the grass and also above the ground, highlighting the whole place. So coming here at night would be quite special. Look at this. Look at this. This is called a cave gunpowder warehouse, and it's right into the rock. It dates back to the Ottoman Empire, 16th or 17th century. Wow. Okay. And it was used as an ammunition depot during the Second World War by the German army. Okay. Wow. So there's the little information board. Once again, in Croatian and English. This looks like an easy walk. Much easier than the other side. And these steps aren't that steep. Also, you need really good footwear. Nothing too special, but such as sandals is not the way to go. Now I'm not sure if you can see that, but there's those floodlights that are projected onto the building, onto the walls. That would look pretty spectacular at night. So there's the flag. That's what we're aiming for next. So we're nearly there. The flag's flying nicely. Large steps here. Don't present as a problem. And there she is. So here we have the sculpture of Dr. Franjo Tudjman, who's the first president for the Republic of Hrvatska or Croatia. Terrific. So here we are. There's the flag. Very good. So we've come from that side of the fortress to this side, and as you can see, absolutely spectacular views. And you've even got a telescope thing to look down on. Absolutely lovely. But you're definitely out of puff. Now I do notice that there's a lot of wind turbines on the other side, and I'd say nearly all of them aren't working. So I'm not sure what that story is all about. There would be a reason for that. Okay, make our way down. I might try to get a meal. It's now 20 past 12. So you heard the bells go at 12, and you could sort of race around like I have in less than half an hour, or you can take your time and look at everything. Okay, it's just lovely, very peaceful up here. Now, just a quick note, if you can't make it up some of these really steep stairs, there is an alternative way around. I took the alternative way to get to the last location where the flag was, and I've come this way. This way is very steep, but there's handrails, so that does help. So here we have something else. It looks like I can't read it. All I can read is something about 1991. So here we are, making our way back to the entrance. I hope we're making our way back to the entrance. Yeah, this all rings true of the way I came. Now I hope I haven't made this too boring for people or not informative enough, but you're definitely getting an amateur's view of this castle. And once again, once I get the drone up, any information I find with the voiceover will be based on researched information, so it won't be what I just sort of surmised as being correct. So that building that we see coming up with the green shutters, that's supposedly a restaurant. So we'll double check that, and if they've got something on to eat, we will get a meal for sure. But we can only know until we get there. And if it's something snappy to eat, I will show you what I bought for myself for lunch. Now, this is just something that I see more often now in Europe than anywhere else. You've got automated coffee machines, drink machines, all sorts of machines that even if the proprietor's not here, people can buy. So I'm just thinking aloud with all those country towns that might have lost their general store. All it needs is power. You get a handful of these sort of things. So the passing truck drivers, couriers, tourists, or just the locals who would like to stop and have a cup of coffee, and a meeting place when the general store is no longer open, or if it's one that's open only on weekends, they could have something like that to generate a bit of income for themselves. It's just an idea. I think it's a terrific idea, and it's worthwhile implementing, I think. But anyway, here's a restaurant. This is also the barracks and a residential building for the lieutenants. So I'm just curious why the officers had ones opposite the commander's place, and this is for the lieutenant. The building was built in the middle of the 18th century and served as barracks. Okay. So this is what the restaurant looks like. Whether or not we can get a meal, I'm not sure. It's not peak period for tourism, so we might be pushing our luck. But I can only ask. They definitely are serving drinks, but that might be all they have. So if you are coming out this way, and we have a meal, there's a little spot right there, and you can feel like you're on the Titanic, and you can have a look at the whole area. So it's a relatively big town. Now it looks like the railway station is a major transport hub. There's carriages way in the distance, but they're empty ones. But I'm still curious what the yellow ones are. They've got their own soccer team, which is fantastic. I did go through the main town, and there is a school, definitely a primary school, I'm not sure about a secondary one, but it seems like a big enough population to have a secondary school as well. And then you can probably see in the distance further another town. So it really is in the gully of hills here, which is just fantastic. So here we are nearing the end of this walk around at the fortress and castle. And if anyone causes trouble, they take your head off. I'm assuming this is where the king or queen of those Venetian or Roman periods, if you're the mayor of the town or something, not sure what their emperor, not sure what the title is, if you were to run and maintain this thing. And this is pretty much a memorial to all victims. I'm assuming from the civil war that they had to get their independence. I've seen a lot of memorials for that conflict they had to gain independence, and it is quite tragic, the numbers of civilians that actually passed or were basically killed compared to actual soldiers that fought. And here's a bell for whatever significant reason that is. I can't find a plaque anywhere, so I'm not sure where it came from. Is it from the church? It's been donated from a church that no longer exists. I can't really tell you. And we'll just pan back here. Now, I have been told by the guy at the restaurant, and the meal was terrific, I can tell you that. Jokingly, I said that whoever the cook was, if they're single and looking for a partner and 50 plus, send her up my way. And then this 25-year-old girl comes up and we all had a bit of a giggle, which was pretty funny. So this one I'm going to see if I can take the drone up in the air and get a bird's eye view. I think I can. The guy at the restaurant said that another chap had tried quite some time ago. It wasn't a drone like the one I have, and for some reason it froze because there is a military base nearby. And I sort of explained to him that the software I have, I've incorporated the EU regulations about where you can and can't fly drones. And it really has occurred to me where I've hooked up the drone with the phone and the controller, and it gives me a warning not to fly, and it actually denies me from taking off, which is, I think everyone should get that software. So you can't make a mistake and you can't get yourself in trouble. So anyway, let's see how we go. This is pretty much it for the fortress. Other than as we're going down, there is a really nice entrance gate that I'll sort of capture while we're in the car, and then we'll make our way to the railway station. So here we go, making our way down and through this little passage. You don't want to have a big car, have it? And there you have it. Very good. Okay, so here we are at the Knin or Knin railway station, and I can tell you right now I found out that those yellow carriages are being used for accommodation. So it is a major hub here, and all the workers that work on the railway line, on this particular railway line, they stay there. So if you're from another part of the country, they give you accommodation. It's a railway carriage that you sleep in, so they don't have to go back to their towns and whatnot. And from what I was speaking to one guy, he said they only go back on the weekends to visit family, and obviously annual leave and all that sort of stuff, but they all stay at the yellow carriages, so that's pretty good. It's for free. It's part of the deal they get working on the railway lines. So let's walk around and check out this station. Now I can also update, you cannot get the drone up. There is 2 military bases within earshot, and because I've got the software for the EU and whatnot, it immediately told me no, and it highlighted the fact that there was 2 military bases nearby. I don't know where exactly they are, but there are 2, and you need a special approval. It can be done, but it takes over a day to get it organised, and it's just a day unnecessary. So we'll just do the walk around. If I can get some historical photos again, I'll slap them up. And I've seen some aerial shots of the fortress which been publicised, and that's when the guy at the restaurant said, yeah, because they got permission. So if you get permission, then you're sweet. And I said, no, it's the same in Australia. There are some places where it tells you that it's a no-fly zone. It asks you whether or not you're prepared to take all responsibility on what happens with your drone. Then they will send you like an SMS or a text to your mobile phone that's connected to your controller, so they know exactly who you are, the type of drone you've got, and then you'll get permission, and if anything happens, you're accountable. But here it's a little bit different, where it takes probably a day before you get that SMS or text to say, yep, you're good, because the drone I use in the EU is classified as a toy. That's what it says. It's got in brackets toy, because it's under 250 grams. But so we don't waste time, let's go on and just check out the railway station as we walk around. So just in the distance there are those yellow carriages, and they're for staff. As you can see, there's quite a number of lines here, and in the distance you could see it from the fortress when you're looking down, is where they do maintenance, and here's just purely for passenger use. And if you look up at the hill, you'll see exactly where the fortress is, and that's where we were. And it's unfortunate we can't get the drone up. We can, but we've got to wait a day. And my accommodation and where I'm staying with the Airbnb is quite some distance away, so I'll have to give it a miss. So does the clock work here? Yes, it does. It is nearly 10 to 2 in the afternoon. It is still very hot, and today is actually, now that I know the date, it's the 31st of October. So they're all waiting for a train, and there's what, 1, 2, 3 platforms, maybe a few others, but definitely 3 platforms for pedestrian use, and we'll see what that looks like. Okay, so we've got the underpass that takes you to the other stations, which is pretty good. Once again, graffiti, it's stock standard, which is quite interesting. So we'll make our way up here, because I really want to get a better view of the station. But the station's, this one, because it's a sort of a major town, isn't that ornate? It's pretty plain actually, but that's okay. Everyone has a different way of doing it. So way in the distance you can probably see more trains. Got some carriages here. They've got everything there for electrification, but it's just not electrified yet. So every train that has to come through here is diesel. And look at that. In the distance there, you got a big steam engine. We'll have to have a look at that as well. So I'll just get back in the station. I can't, I'm in the sun, so you can't really see. Okay, so we'll continue on. So what we're going to do is I'm going to follow pretty much that lady there with the bag. There's some carriages and stuff there that I saw from the fortress or the castle, and if she's going to go there without getting telling off, I think I'm game enough as well. So that's what we'll do, and we'll check these trains out. It doesn't say you can't cross here. There's nothing to indicate anything. I think the locals that live in this area have no option but to cross this way. She's obviously maybe going home, calling it a day, and we're going to go and check out these carriages to our left. And once again, they look like carriages that was told to me that they might be also like sleepers for workers. So we'll see what this is all about over here. Yeah, even kids are passing through the train tracks. So quite interesting. And it looks like there's some works going on over there as well. So that should be pretty good. Not sure if we'll get told off, but let's see what happens. These don't look all that young. They look like they've got some age to them. Especially this thing that I'm coming up to now. It looks as old as the hills. The other thing I've noticed is they're still using timber sleepers. Maybe they've got an abundance of sleepers to use. And I'm thinking this must be that maintenance train they use to do maintenance. So yeah, what a beauty that one is. And then there's some, well, that sort of suggests that it's the postal ones. You can see what's got P-O-S-I-T. To me, I think that's postal ones, but they're not going anywhere. They're there to collect dust, and collect dust they are, unless people are using them to live in. But I'm not sure. We'll find out. We'll get a little bit closer. Yeah, no, they're not going anywhere. Look at the tracks. The tracks are covered in what do you call it? Grass and whatnot. Yeah, I think they're postal ones. I'm not going to go any closer. It's fine. And then you've got these flatbed carriages. Not sure what they're used for, but all very interesting. So behind me was the maintenance. It's not too far away from the station. And there's another place where they're doing like the look from the fortress. To be fair, they look like really formal carriages, like top-notch stuff. Very, very new and modern. And I used the telescope up there, and I was able to zoom in. And yeah, no, they're my theory or my belief that they're sort of neglecting their railway service as a service that no one really uses mightn't be necessarily correct after seeing what I've just seen. So they've got crews out there doing work. Maybe it's all budget related. They can only do so much, and it's a very, very, very slow process, I guess. So anyway, we'll continue on. We'll make our way to that steam engine, see what that's all about. Now, once again, it appears I've spoken prematurely, and they do have these concrete sleepers. Okay, so we're learning as we're going. So you really are getting footage and conversation based on what I'm seeing as I'm going around. I did not do any research on this station at all, other than that there was one near this fortress that I wanted to go to. So here we have their steam engine, and I can tell you right now, it's huge, really tall, and it looks very, very heavy. Now, I'm just looking at the number of large wheels, and then I'm looking at the tender on how many wheels that has. And this is not a small train at all. This is actually very, very large. Wow, okay. This is very large. Okay, I'm going to stand next to the wheel and let you know how big the large wheels are in comparison to me. So I'm roughly 5'10", and I can tell you right now that that's it. They're 5'10". They're maybe even slightly taller than 5'10", these individual wheels. So that's big. So this is the back end. She's baking in the sun, rusting away, but this is going to take a long time to rust away. I can't believe how tall it is. Now, I've seen a lot of steam engines, and this would have to be one of the biggest. My son and I, when we were in Pennsylvania, when I was working in New York, we saw one of the big boys at one of their museums. That was big, that was huge, but I'm trying to compare the two. Obviously the big boy was bigger and longer and whatnot, but this thing would be probably one of the biggest ones in Australia if you had to compare it. Wow, alright, so there you go. Okay, so this is the entry to the railway station, and there's I would say that was a military policeman with the red beret. I think it's quite universal that the red beret indicates military police. So this is the foyer of the railway station. It looks fantastic. It's like it's lost in the 50s or the 60s or something, I'm not sure. Okay, very good. So here we are at those yellow carriages that I've been told are accommodation for the workers on the railway lines. I'm not totally convinced. I don't see any air conditioning. I can see power coming to them, but I do not see air conditioning units. Now I can't see it on this side that there's any, so there might be air conditioning on the other side. So we'll find out. I can't cross right here because down this end there is a sign saying do not cross the railway line, or the railway tracks I should say. So we won't be doing that. So as I make my way down further, there is a spot where I can cross over, and I'll show you more of these yellow railway carriages. So once again, right up there on the hillside is that fort and castle. It's where we had lunch, which was lovely. And here are these yellow railway carriages. See, it's got Francuski Republic, so that's from France, but then it's got Zagreb on it, which is the capital of Croatia. So I don't know what all that is about. I'm sort of missing the understanding of a couple of words, and sometimes I can sort of guess it, other times I'm not even close. So yes, so as you can see, from carriage to carriage there is power right along for these ones, and there's another set underneath or behind where I'm walking. So I might be able to sneak across there is like a platform over on the other side, just underneath these carriages. I think people are sort of crossing, well, not necessarily here, and you'll see what I mean. So if I come to here, there's some carriages just there, and there's a platform. Yeah, I'm doubting very much that all of these are being used to house the workers. I wouldn't put up with it. I just hope the workers are happy with their accommodation. See, as you can see, I just do not see any air conditioning units. Now, these temporary things, from what my understanding was, the guy who I spoke to said they come out and contract when they do rail works, and this is where they accommodate them. And I'm hoping that it's in the colder months, and hopefully they've got some sort of heating in there, because as you can see, as well as I can, there is no air conditioning whatsoever. Even the vents for the air conditioning. So it's all very interesting. For such a very busy railway, I can't say busy, I mean large railway station, there's just no activity going on. I was able to see one train take off, and that's it. And that's when I was up at the fortress / castle. Now, what there is here also are the buses. Now, all the buses are quite snappy. I think they're all Mercedes little buses, and then you've got these ones here that's just rocked in. But for the smaller little hamlets, if that's what we're going to call them, or the smaller towns, they've got the little mini buses. And for the big bus, it'll take you to the major cities. I think this one takes you to Šibenik. But I imagine they go to the big towns. And this Mercedes here, the small one, takes you to the smaller townships, because the numbers of people that use it. And then you've got even this one. This must take you to really small places, that little bus. So there you have it. This is the railway station at Knin, if that's how you pronounce it, or Knin, I'm not sure. So here we are near the end of this video of the Knin, that's spelled K-N-I-N, fortress / castle and railway station. If you did like the video, by all means, click on that like button or that thumbs up icon. Please consider subscribing. Subscribing really doesn't cost you 1 cent, but it really does help the channel immensely. But most importantly, stay safe, commute safe, and have a great day. And thanks for watching.